Suddenly, SCP-3199 jumped right at one of the personnel. They barely had time to react before it escaped from the corridor. They fired off enough rounds to blow a chunk out of its chest. 3199 let out the most awful scream. Hello everybody, I'm TheRubber. Today, we bring you SCP Foundation Keter Class Object SCP-3199. SCP-3199, also known as human, is a sentient humanoid species of a currently unknown biological origin, though tissue samples suggest traces of domestic chicken and chimpanzee DNA. 3199 is hairless, stained with a thin layer of albumin, and stand at an average of 2.9 meters. A matured 3199 weighs around 780 kilograms, and a hatchling weighs at 360 kilograms. The necks of 3199 appear dislocated and are capable of twisting approximately 340 degrees, presumably due to the nature of 3199's reproductive cycle. SCP-3199 is an opportunistic hunter, engaging with live subjects within a radius of 0.6 kilometers surrounding hatchlings that have not yet reached full adolescence. Its average speed is recorded at 25 kilometers per hour. Upon contact with human or animal subjects, 3199 will kill them, liquefying their internal organs and bone structure. The cadaver is then given to the young and utilized as a form of nourishment. Instances of 3199 have been observed producing large eggs of an off-white coloration and rubbery appearance. These eggs will pass through its stomach, esophagus, and eventually extract via the mouth, followed by a highly corrosive red substance. SCP-3199 shows extreme distress throughout the entire process, with SCP's personnel describing the sound as not dissimilar to a scream. Presumably, due to a biologically ingrained method of avoiding extinction, SCP-3199 will always produce its eggs to fill all available space. This anomalous property currently has no known limit, and as a result may pose an LK-class species transmutation scenario. Termination of 3199 can be performed with relative ease. However, a complete eradication is currently difficult, as all instances of 3199, regardless of age, will always carry one egg inside their stomach to ensure survival for at least one member of their species at all times. The eggs from 3199 have proven to be extremely resilient. Experiments shows the egg sample lacking visible signs of damage after subjection to extreme blunt force trauma, extensive pressure exceeding 180,000 psi, high-precision blades, and even long-term acid exposure. Use of point-blank explosives was suggested, but never tested, because heat exposure has been determined to accelerate hatch rates, and thus detonation may run the risk of a containment breach. During the intense heat exposure experiment, an egg sample from 3199 was secured in a containment cell that gradually increased its temperature at an average rate of 7 degrees Celsius per minute. After approximately 9 minutes, the egg ruptured violently and produced a single hatchling. On-site personnel reacted swiftly, trying to recontain the newborn instance. However, the excessive internal temperature impacted the physical growth of the young instance, and it reached adolescence at an accelerated rate of 40 seconds. As a result, it produced 2 further instances of 3199. On-site security response was swift, and all 3 instances were detained. All future heat testing involving 3199 egg samples has been forbidden until further notice. In the liquid nitrogen bath experiment, an egg sample was submerged entirely in liquid nitrogen. After approximately 45 minutes of exposure, SCP-3199 had reached negative 190 degrees Celsius. Following 2 hours of exposure, the egg sample was removed and placed under extreme pressure. As a result, hydraulic press peaked at pressures of around 9,000 psi. Cracks appeared 30 minutes into exposure, before the sample shattered. Egg fragments were collected and furthermore pressed into a fine pulp. 0 traces of albumin or yolk were located. Incineration of these remains proved successful at destroying the egg in its entirety. SCP-3199 was discovered in Ireland after reports of an unidentified, bald creature crying like a banshee from within a dense woodland resulted in the dispatching of MTF-Omega-19. MTF Omega-19 arrived around 2100 hours. They were told that if they could not catch 3199, the next best thing would be snapping a frame or two. Then the Foundation hooked them up with the best night vision hardware. An hour later, they found a shack made from scrap metal and wood. It looked a lot like an oversized chicken coop. The team then entered the shack. Suddenly, SCP-3199 jumped right at one of the personnel. They barely had time to react before it escaped from the corridor. They fired off enough rounds to blow a chunk out of its chest. 3199 let out the most awful scream. Unfortunately, 2 personnel lost their lives during the action. Their internal organs and jaws were almost entirely dissolved. During transportation back to Site-114, 3199 produced 2 more offspring, resulting in the deaths of another 6 personnel. On 2017, the Foundation did a thorough sweep of 3199's initial recovery location. It was performed to uncover any further information regarding their origin. Locals claimed that the small remote residence in question has been established in the woods for several years. Surface Team D-029 managed to recover several items of interest, including 1 bag of assorted thread and needles, 3 chicken feather quills, 13 chicken carcasses with precise incisions located on the underbelly, neck, and thigh. Unbelievably, 6 of the carcasses had been plucked, with visible human teeth marks lining the bare areas seemingly at random. The team also recovered several containers, including water bottles and Tupperware boxes, holding an unidentified watery paste. The paste is deep brown in color, and when exposed to oxygen, it becomes viscous and hard. An A5 notebook, heavily scratched with human fingernails, was also found amongst the stuffs. The words, "Open when we are pure," are written on the front of the notebook. The notebook itself consisted of 24 pages of standard lined paper written in non-anomalous black ink. 19 of these pages consisted of various cuboid patterns and crude, childlike illustrations vaguely resembling SCP-3199. On the remaining 5 pages, large lines of writing detail the diary of an unnamed individual. Most of what was written was found totally illegible. However, one extract dated in 1973 was written with notably higher clarity, and quote, "If you're reading this, then lucky you. 1 millionth hour from not and it'll be fun. And the wonderful versatility of inferior human DNA will give birth to a new era. A stronger era. One where and food and water will be nothing but things of the past, as we make and make and make more for the better future. I really haven't much time. That's why I envy you so. You'll have all the time you need. Time will be on, and death will be life. New life changes lives and brings smiles like a freshness. New life will be a part of life from now on." The final page consisted of several ink blots, 13 instances of the word life in various sizes, and 2 instances of the words, "Didn't you want this?" SCP-3199 was issued Keter classification on June 10th of 2017, following the events of a containment breach. After the breaching incident, SCP-3199's original water containment method was disassembled and replaced with the current resin solution. Besides, Protocol 34-22-B poached will be carried out during the event of a breach. The following steps are the procedure of this protocol. On-site personnel with Level 1 security clearance or above initiate standard lockdown procedure and immediately move to Site-113 unless instructed otherwise. Site-114 is to be filled entirely with distilled water, treated with Class A sedatives. Then, Surface Team Tango 306-A will be notified and dispatched and instructed to retrieve any instances of SCP-3199's eggs. Any living instances of 3199 will be terminated on-site, and their remaining eggs will be collected. All egg samples are to be transported to temporary off-site containment. Site-114 will then be drained, and janitorial staff dispatched to thoroughly clean the area. Any personnel attempting to breach Site-114 before this inspection is complete will be apprehended and suspended accordingly. Some personnel have displayed skepticism regarding the necessity of this protocol. However, Dr. Watt believes that fluid is an excellent counter to 3199's anomalous reproductive properties. It appears to enter an inert state in the presence of liquid, regardless of thickness or clarity. There are two theories regarding this occurrence. First, SCP-3199's need for survival demands all of its attention to focus on not drowning. Second, SCP-3199 considers the liquid around it as full space, and as a result does not produce any egg when submerged.
The world wasn't always like this. It all went wrong when the Devourer of Worlds broke loose. We called it SCP-2317, back when the Foundation was still around. I've led multiple MTF squads to subdue the anomalies that breached containment during the chaos, but we couldn't get them all. We failed to stop 2317. What happened to the anomalies that escaped capture? I don't know, son. Some were terminated, some are still at large, and some, we let them go. Why did you let them go? Not all of them are evil. Every now and then, I think of those that have aided us in the past. Shh, quiet. I heard something. Hello everybody, I'm TheRubber. Today, we bring you a tale from the SCP Foundation. Dylan opened his mouth again to speak, but was interrupted by the sound of screaming from outside the door. His eyes widened and he rushed to the door, pressing his ear to the cold wood. Gary stood up from his chair to follow his father. Dylan pressed his finger to his lips, signaling his son to stop talking. He was pale, and already droplets of sweat were running down his face, despite the fact that it was still in the middle of winter. Dylan drawn the axe at his hip. Slowly, he opened the door, holding the axe in his left hand. "Stay here," he gestured towards Gary, and closed the door behind him. Under the moonlight, Dylan saw a silhouette of a creature hunched over a dead man. It had long, gangly arms and a vaguely humanoid head. Have I seen this before? Doesn't matter, must keep Gary safe, Dylan thought, getting ready to take the creature by surprise. He emerged, getting ready to sprint and quickly take the creature down. He gripped the handle of the axe tightly, grasping it with both hands. Dylan stood up and started running towards it. His feet lightly pit-pattered on the ground, barely making any noise. When he got closer to the creature, its tiny, human-like ears perked up, but it was already too late. Dylan raised the axe, neatly severing the creature's neck in half. Blood spurted in all directions from the creature's decapitated stump as it fell down on the dead man's body. Dylan inspected the dead creature and recognized its ghastly eyes and its gaping mouth full of bloodied teeth. He heard movements within the woods in front of him. He ran back to his cabin, knocking hurriedly. "We gotta go." "Why? What's wrong?" "It's not safe here anymore. Pack up your things now. We're leaving soon." Suddenly, they heard a crash come from the back of the cabin. Dylan pulled his son towards him and got to cover behind a table. They could hear the intruder was making a mess of the kitchen. They took a peek and Dylan noticed that it was the creature he killed earlier. He handed the axe over to Gary. "Take this. Now follow me and watch your steps." They tiptoed their way out into the night, where several more of the creatures were stalking around. One of them noticed the father and son as they exited the cabin and let out an eerily human-like screech which attracted the attention of the rest. "Damn it! Run, Gary! Run!" Ah! One of the creatures broke through the door and pinned Dylan to the ground. Another one rushed in and bit into Dylan's face, eliciting another painful scream from him. Despite being trained by his father in the arts of fighting and survival, in this frozen wasteland, Gary was terrified like never before. His mind surrendered control to his body and he ran straight into the woods. He heard stomping on the ground behind him, and he knew that the creatures were giving chase. But he was too terrified to cry, too terrified to look back, too terrified to do anything but run. One mistake was all it took to die in this barren land. A simple misstep, and his father made enough noise to attract the attention of the creatures. They descended upon him like mad dogs hungry for the meal, and tore him to shreds. Soon enough, Gary arrived at what appeared to be an abandoned cabin in a clearing deep within the woods. He pushed open the door and slammed it shut behind him. He slid down with his back against the door, hugging his father's axe, a remnant of his MTF's days. "Damn it, Father! Damn it!" The surrounding area was oddly barren and utterly devoid of vegetation. Then he finally realized that sitting in front of him was a frail-looking man. I see they have found new prey to hunt. Who are you? My name is unimportant. There are more pressing matters at hand. Speaking of which, the man was interrupted by another one of those creatures that had busted through the decayed cabin wall. The creature pinned the man down, chomping him and tearing through his flesh relentlessly. Suddenly, its body convulsed as bite marks manifested on its neck and flesh torn from its skin. The man, however, appeared unharmed. What? How did you? I simply can't be hurt. No doubt you have 1,000 questions in your mind right now, but we don't have time for that. They're coming. Terror overcame Gary as he spotted more of the creatures skulking around the cabin outside. They stood up and rose to their full 10-foot height. Then, in synchronization, they screamed. The scream deafened Gary for good, stunning him and sending him to the ground. He could feel blood rushing down his ears. This is no time to be afraid, boy. You must fight. I can't. My father's gone. I'm gonna die. Fear is the mind killer, boy. You must not fear and face them. Look at them. They've killed your father, and now they're coming for you. Gary wiped his tears away and gripped his axe. He could imagine his father getting torn apart by those monsters, their bloodied teeth digging into his skin and tearing flesh from bone. He wanted them dead. Gary tightened his grip on the axe with a look of determination in his eye. A creature charged at him. He bashed and struck at the downed creature over and over again until it turned into an unrecognizable mess. The man caught the rage in Gary's eyes. Who wants some? They were on him in seconds, sinking their claws and teeth into his body. But Gary was not deterred as adrenaline was pumping through his body. Over on the other side of the room, the man was being swarmed. He didn't fight back, but one by one, the creatures fell as he arose unharmed. He looked at the frenzied Gary, who was fighting against the horde with reckless abandon. If this is human nature, I wonder, are you truly more human than me, Brother Abel? Gary swung his axe against the horde, but soon his energy diminished and he struggled to hold his footing. His axe could barely hold them off as they became increasingly aggressive. Yet despite Gary's failing poise, the man could see that his rage was still burning inside him. His stares began to take on the look of a beast, ready to give itself to the wild side, abandoning humanity. No, I will not allow it. Not again. One of the creatures managed to sneak up behind Gary and lunged at him, but the man managed to rush forward, took the attack upon himself, which repelled the creature. That's enough. Stay back and follow my lead. But Gary ignored him and rushed forward for an attack. The man suddenly yanked him back and protected him from the creature's ambush. Do you want to die? You think your father would like that? What you're doing now is suicide. Why did you stop me? I need to kill, like you said. No, you're becoming a vengeful demon just like my brother, and I will not let you. The creatures slowly gathered around and surrounded them. Keep them in your view and stay behind me. When any of them jumps at me, you take the chance to cut them down. That way we can dispatch of them faster, then they can finish you off. They slowly maneuvered themselves to maintain an advantageous position. One of them lunged and bit the man's shoulder. He held its head as it clawed wildly at him. This one, quick! Gary held up his axe and cut at the creature's neck, almost severing it. Once it's down, Gary regained his footing beside the man. Good. Stay focused. We're not over yet. On your left! The man ducked as Gary swung to fend off the creature. It didn't do any damage, but it gave them more space. They fought side by side each other for the entire night. When the creatures went for the man, Gary would seize the opening to cut them down. When Gary was overwhelmed, the man used his body as a meat shield to distract them, to give Gary more breathing room. As morning came, the sun revealed that the cabin was now painted in blood. They're gone, for now. More will come back. There are eggs being hatched nearby as we speak. You best get your energy up and move on. The man then handed him a makeshift container filled with water, which Gary gulped down vigorously. They killed my father. So it was vengeance I saw in your eyes. Vengeance or not, it didn't matter. They needed to die. These were monsters. No, your father's gone. There's nothing you can do to bring him back. These creatures don't care about you, me, or your father, or your vengeance. They are just animals looking for the next meal. Fight not for your father, but your survival. What do you know about survival? Take a look around you. All the humans are gone. The only ones fit to survive are monsters like you and them. so don't you dare tell me about survival. I'm sorry. I was out of line. You mentioned your brother. What happened to him? You remind me of my brother. The way you fought, the intensity in your eyes. It was uncanny. He'd gone down a dark path of vengeance and bloodshed, and it was all my fault that he turned out that way, and I'd prefer to leave it at that. So where is he now? Somewhere out there, probably reveling in fights. They remained silent for a moment. Then tears started rolling down Gary's cheeks. Is there even a place for me? What's the point of living in this godforsaken world anymore? Just deaths. Life has no meaning now. Take a look around you. Nothing grows around me. Wherever I go, decay follows. It's a curse that's bound to me for eternity. Yet, if you look further, you can see the sun touches more land yet, where life flourishes, and that's good enough for me. The meaning of life isn't set in stone. It's a choice made by each one of us. That's why I chose to stay. That's why I chose to help you fight. That's the meaning of my life, because I deem it so. Who are you? I'm simply a nobody. But you may call me Cain.
I've always wanted to be in my own alien movie. And well, except that these aren't aliens. They look more like angry, overgrown chickens. These things never give up, do they? Though I prefer to run for my life than keep counting the number of ways 294 can make coffee. This is too much for my liking. What? Mommy? There are 4 giant, overcooked chickens clucking in my room. Must be dreaming. Good night.
So, let me get this straight.
Go for it, jackety smackety.
So, you were cleaning the library, and you entered a room with a sign that read, "Authorized personnel only."
Yes, sir. You said every nook and cranny?
And somehow, you caused a breach in not 1, but 2 secure facilities, leading to multiple injuries, billions in damage, and the library is still a mess. And somehow you managed to hold a conversation with him without getting smashed to bits. You, of all people.
Just because he has the word shy in his name doesn't mean he can't hold a conversation. He's more like a nice guy, you know?
Clearly, I'm not getting through to you. But what's done is done. I'm gonna call for a drill exercise. Firstly, thank you for everyone's efforts on cleanup and reconstruction. Secondly, our response time to the last containment breach was terrible. This site needs to be faster at reacting to danger. For that, we will be doing drills.
For this exercise, we plan to...
Oh, Rubber, I say you do. You have your duties. Now go make sure that the rest of the rooms are tidied up and everything's in order. We don't want any more surprises.
Fine. Guess that's everything. Rooms are clean, documents are where they should be. Ugh, this is getting very tedious. Sounds like somebody's having a feast. Hey, are you guys slacking off here? I'm being worked to the bone here while you guys are doing nothing. Hi? Oh, my head. Gah! Get away from me. Stay back, you big chicken. You what, mate? Back off. Shoot. You don't want these hands, I'm telling you. Ah! I'm sorry.
Huh? Phew, I guess he looked tastier than me. Oh no, it must be those things. Jack! I need to find something I can help people with. Right, a first aid kit, or some kind of weapon I can fight back with. Let's do this. Ow! What in the world?
Come with me if you want to live.
Awesome. Were you invisible?
It's this gas mask that makes me invisible, so to speak. When worn, the mask takes me someplace else, a dark place with horrible, hungry things. But once you learn to walk there, you can use it to travel to other locations. It saved me a bunch of times.
Jack, there are people getting hurt.
I know, so I brought a team to handle it.
Wow.
Abel, you found anything yet?
Hi, I'm Rubber.
I'm surprised you're okay with those things running around everywhere.
Oh, not at all. They caught me, but I fought them off.
Fought them off? They didn't lay any eggs inside of you, did they?
They do what now?
Oh, yeah, they take their victims and lay their eggs inside. Then, for some godforsaken reason, the victims become fiercely protective of the eggs. It's actually fascinating stuff.
Ew.
Let's go, else Abel will likely leave us behind. There they are! Careful, men, these things are vicious. Do not let your guard down.
I think they're afraid.
Don't be foolish, Rubber. The moment they got out, they must be exterminated. There's no other choice. It's protocol.
Watch out!
What are you doing? Don't get close!
Hi-ya! All right now, buddy. I'm sure we can end this without hurting. Whoa! Okay, calm down, boy. Let's just talk about this. Please, no! Don't lay your eggs in me. I'm a lousy nest.
Rubber!
Oh, thank goodness for you. So glad we have a big, strong man like you on our side.
You okay?
Yep, I'm good now. Dang, these things don't mess around, huh? Wait, who's that boy?
TJ!
TJ?
Are you okay, brother?
Brother?
Rubber, this is my younger brother, TJ.
I'm Rubber. I'm sure Jack has told you a lot about me.
Now is not really the time for chit-chats. TJ needs to focus on healing. It's his, gift. Hang in there. Come, Rubber.
Oh, right.
Hey, Rubber. Thanks for saving my hide back there.
Don't mention it. I don't know what came over me, but I'm glad you're safe. Please stay put and leave the rest to us.
Abel, have you located them? Seems like SCP-096's assault has caused some considerable damage to the structure, allowing these opportunistic things to slip out.
This is all my fault. 2 facilities and countless casualties. They were people with lives, scientists, guards, janitors with families. Now they're just statistics. No one will ever know what happened to them. The Foundation will make up a lie, something comforting to conceal the truth and protect the veil.
Over there!
Wait, Jack! Oh man, guess I'll follow Abel. Abel!
Just stay back and watch.
Those things were just animals to him. Sure, they weren't brilliant, and the way they were reproduced was cruel and grotesque, but they were simply acting on their instincts. It's their way of living, after all. Is that evil? To them, they don't even deserve a second thought. What if they were the last of their kind? Who's the true monster in this case?
Well, good thing we have some eggs in the incubation chamber. My tests on 3199 can continue.
Jack!
Excellent job, everyone. I believe that's the end of it. Ah!
Jack! Jack!
This situation places us in a peculiar predicament.
You mean Bright's injuries?
No, I mean that individual. The one called Rubber. Did you see that?
See what?
Whatever he did to SCP-3199, if he can do that, he might be able to repel other things as well.
Will it become a problem?
Keep an eye on him, and send Abel back to the bottom of the sea once this mess is dealt with.
Done. We wait for now?
Yes, we wait.